The time is now.
Early in the morning.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bacon.
And UFC Breakfast with Corey Cutter and Sam Zaden. Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. UK. And UFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
Now, hold on. Which one of us is Corey and which one of us is Sam? I think my mate's struggling with his headphones, and he's certainly struggling with his mic because I can't hear him. He's going to jump out and he's going to jump in board. Anyway, it's not Corey and Sam. It's the, I'm not saying we're better looking. It's the Geordie Yam Yam and the Mighty Win with you on the presser this morning, bringing you the live watch along as we do it. So again, not expecting a massive difference to what we've seen previously, if I'm honest with you. But who knows? It is Christmas. Maybe we'll get something coming forward from that. So again, let's do the housework and then we'll crack on with the show. Welcome to all watching across the platforms. Thanks to everybody that works in the background. Don't forget, people out there in viewerland, smash that like button if you enjoyed the show. It certainly helps us get further as a channel to other supporters. Two things I want you to do right now, if you haven't already: subscribe. It's totally free. Hit that bell for future content and you'll get that 30-minute warning. Like I say, when we're live, always live, never edited. If you want to help us, you can become a member. It's a small monthly fee, and that'll get you on board with that. And like I say, only if you can afford to do so. But presents are always welcome. If you've got a question for me or Win, I'm not sure whether Win is going to be any good at the minute regarding responses. But you can put a Q in front of that question because, like I say, I can't hear him at the moment, so he's having some techo diffos. And I'll do my best to answer it, like I say, as I always do. And again, apologies if I don't mention all of them, because, like I say, during these type of things, we try and get as limited ads as we can. So if you want to guarantee that message read out, then use the Talk TV Super Chat. Follow the $sign and throw us one along. Anybody that becomes a member during the show, or any of our lovely members out there already, gift them. We will highlight them as we go. I'll do a couple of shout outs while I'm waiting for my mate to jump on board. Welcome to Darren Lee. Boki's in the chat. So good morning, gentlemen. I hope you are well on this Friday morning. Not a bad day down in the Warwickshire area. I'm not sure what it's like up there. Ross Wilson, once Brazilian midfielder. Elian Alias. It's a weird one, Daz, because if you look at the monies, 87 million release fee. And then when you read through the small print, negotiations, they reckon they can get him below 30. So it is a weird one. But again, he looks a very interesting gentleman, footballer-wise, to grace St James's Park, if we're still there by the time we get him. So that is going to be an interesting one. I am, like I say, waiting for the Mighty Win to come back on board. If he can, like I say, I'm just going to put my screen on there just in case he's struggling, just so I don't miss what's going on. I'm going to drop him out of the picture because, like I say, there you go. I hope you're well. Like I say, enjoyed the show last night, and like I say, thanks to all the lads that got involved. It was some great opinions across the board, and like I say, some great stuff mentioned by Mr. Hopkinson. So, like I say, proof will now be in the pudding, and I'm sure he will be held to task. What type of questions are we expecting today from the journos? Anything that you think will make him a little bit uncomfortable? Morning, Paul. Would somebody again? I wonder whether they'll talk about Shaw. That's the one thing. Are we going to have a little bit of an uncomfortable situation regarding Fabian Shaw? Because for me, like I say, regarding what's been reported out there now, he's the one that seems to be the one very similar to, I would imagine, Botman's situation. Under a new contract, he's wanting guaranteed time on the field of play. You can't do that. And I don't know where we are. Morning, Mick. Hope you're well, buddy. Like I say, glad to see you all on board. So there's going to be, there could be potentially a couple of uncomfortable questions coming Eddie's way this morning, and that's the type of stuff that I want to see. I want Eddie to feel uncomfortable. This can't be just always, let's have a mates discussion over a cup of coffee. They're there to get stories, and like I say, I don't want speculation. I want to see and read the truth. I can sit on here and write as much stuff down as I think is true. Doesn't mean that it is. So it'll be interesting. Good morning to Nut, and that's nice to see you on board, lads. Wazza's on board. Happy Friday, buddy. Lovely to see you on board. And it is a crazy one. Morning, Michael is on board. Heady needs to tell us what's up with Ramsey. Yeah, that's another good one, mate. What is Ramsey? What's happened to him? 40 odd million pounds spent on a midfielder that really hasn't graced the building yet. Hasn't really given opportunities, and yet we've seen players throughout that midfield that haven't performed. What does the lad have to do to prove his worth of that 40 million pounds? I still, like I say, I've got this feeling now that it's more 11th hour transfers rather than due diligence. That's what it feels like to me. I need players. I need backup players through that through the transfer window. I've spent all this time looking for a centre forward, and Darren Lee saying surely Big Nick will be on the bench tomorrow. He looked not with it on Tuesday, making mistakes. Looks like he needs a rest this weekend, ready for the Champions League. Hey, it's a good shout, mate. That is a very, very good shout. Are you
Hello,
there?
I can hear you.
Hey! Up by the ears. It's like Tiz was for those of a decent age.
Of a certain age.
Yeah, up by the ears, something like this. Listen, I would not be. That wouldn't be a problem for me, Daz, having him on the bench. But I have a feeling that you may see Wisser on the bench, and I think what Newcastle really need to do, and I mean, you listening to Scott Parker, former player of Newcastle, shows a lot of respect to the club.
Former player
very
of the
similar.
year.
Yeah, and a very similar presser to Eddie Howe's. Comes across very well. Very good, intelligent man. Again, doesn't shout high, doesn't shout low. He's very middle range type of coach. And I suppose he's found his level. And he did say, I'm coming to St James's Park.
What's his level? Getting relegated?
Listen, I'll twist that round. Company got relegated with him, and now he's managing Bayern Munich. I mean, that's what I said. You cannot help the level that you coach at. You've got to get the best of whatever you've got in front of you. And hopefully, if people see what you've tried to achieve during that coaching.
By the way, Gary, you're just saying that, that hadn't crossed my mind before. So does this not give even more weight
to clubs with money?
To the how good Eddie Howe is? Because there's Vincent Kompany at Burnley with no money to spend, can't do a thing. Go to buy, anybody can win at Bayern Munich.
Ancelotti at Everton, mate. That was my biggest one. Ancelotti didn't do anything at Everton, and he's a great manager. I'm not saying that these guys, given the right power, given the right players, but surely that's the same for everybody. Everybody's got a tactic in mind. It's how those individual players on the day push that tactic on the field of play. And like I said, we've seen a great team like Liverpool under the demise of Slot. I mean, Klopp got a message from them. He won a league. That's what I'm saying. Certain managers will get certain performances out of certain players. Let's have a look at what we've got. Ricky D's in there. Big up, Ricky. Mighty Mag's in there. Morning, dude, EH and backroom team need to somehow integrate and assimilate new signings faster, i.e. Ramsey and co. That's what makes me think. And I'm going to come to you, buddy, because like I said, we were all
It's
questioning.
the Eddie way.
Yeah, we were all questioning though where we're at when it looks when you look at it from a perspective of transfers. You know, we were all questioning when these deals were going to be done, and there was a lot of emphasis and a lot of time spent, obviously with the Rats. Obviously, didn't help us at all this summer, but we had a lot of time looking at different centre forwards. You know, wanting to come to the club, some wanting not to come to the club, some expecting more money than they needed to be on, etc., etc. Was the final signings, the likes of Ramsey, a 11th hour signing? You know, I need cover, but maybe not the player that I'm wanting, but I know he's available for around about the 40 million mark, so I'll go and get him.
To a degree, I think that's absolutely right. But you've also got to bear in mind that, I mean, we did the window to death at the time, but it's worth it's worth recapping. At the time, the PIF absolute message was Isaac is going nowhere. That was their constant message throughout. Now, whether or not it's since emerged that the new Isaac had said he wants to go, etc., etc. But at the time, when the makeshift negotiating team, because Mitchell did off on the 1st of July, Darren Eales was all but gone anyway. So the makeshift transfer team, their first target was a second striker, not a first striker. So that straight away changes what would have been maybe their negotiating position at the time. When going for Pedro, when going for Mbuemo, the list. So a whole raft of circumstances derailed our transfer window. And that resulted in us kicking off with a depleted, well, an under-trained squad. You know, Eddie said at the end of last season, I want the players in straight away so we can have the full pre-season with them.
Yeah,
and that
you're right.
didn't happen.
Yeah, morning, Kev. He's saying, raises the question about how good Pep really is. Obviously, he's good, but is he the best as people say? Well, again, you would only ever get to know the answer to any of these questions as if you went to somebody like Burnley, Bournemouth, you know. That's you know, if you like, second, third string clubs where there's no money, small fan base, and you have to play with the team that you've been given, and that's what I said. You know,
And you can't buy your way out of trouble.
That's why I have a lot more respect for Ancelotti than I do the managers that just want to go to the cream. And Vincent Kompany is one of those that I respect. He come and ground his teeth out at the bottom with Burnley to find his way, find his feet. Now, there was a door ajar with obviously going to Germany, and he took it, and he's doing all right. Like I said, but it does not make a difference when you've got players that can play football. Morning, Boki. Howe got Bournemouth relegated, don't forget. He did indeed.
He also got them
Roger.
promoted 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say,
Saved Bournemouth's bacon, and they almost went into liquidation.
Liquidation, yeah, exactly.
Well, certainly out
good
the
morning,
league
King
anyway. And up to 9th in the Champions in the Premier League. So
was a sign. Welcome to Captain Eddie's sinking ship. The Rats first to jump and anchors on next. Good morning, Terry. Like I say, good morning, Kim Cam, and good morning, Mark and Kev Bell. Like I say, I've already mentioned. It's lovely to have you boys on board. Paul Wright as well. Good morning. Anybody else that I've missed there? I hope I haven't. And if I have, apologies. But you're more than welcome this morning. Like I say, people in the chat, we've got about 4 minutes or so before we go live to Eddie. If you can, and you haven't already, then smash those like buttons for me. That'll be fantastic. I've got a family of sick people. So, like I say, if you hear noises in the background, that's just the missus whipping the kids. Anyway, I'm joking. You know, she wouldn't do that. She'd eat them, but she wouldn't whip them. Right. Terry Turbug is saying, Howling Howe does it again. You know what? That should be part of the thing. Cannot beat Spursy. Yeah, exactly, mate. It pains me. It really does. Mark Irwin, if you're a real Geordie, it's as much about emotion. If you're from the tune, you would understand.
How often do we hear that? How often do we hear that?
But that's like, you know, for me, listen, I understand how people say, right? I've been away from Newcastle since 2011. I mean, fully away when I lost my, well, I didn't lose it. I gave it up, my season ticket. But every week, every game, whether I was at work or not, there was some way of me getting to understand or listen to the match and feel it, right? Because I always think to be involved in this type of setup, the way we are now, if we're all cardboard cutouts with no emotion, and like I say, I try and be balanced. You go one way, Chris goes another. I try and be, you know, piggy in the middle, if you like. Don't always agree with either of you. I don't even
That's
sometimes
a bit
agree
harsh.
with
I don't think you're a piggy.
But, you know, I sometimes don't even agree with myself, but I sometimes have to say it's because it's in front of me. And that's the way we look. And I often think sometimes we've got to be careful the way we label the Northeast as just those are the fans, because I get hurt too. You know, I was absolutely gutted against Spurs. I mean, it's like somebody pulling the rug from underneath my feet. That's how, and that's why I get emotive on the day, and that's why I'd rather go away and rethink and then come back to the show to give a better analysis, if you like, because if not, it just becomes a finger-pointing situation and a no blames, you know. But I mean, like I say, it is where we are at the moment. We haven't gone forward. We haven't gone back.
It's where we are.
It's where we are, mate. We are literally on that crest of a wave. But, you know, let me ask you.
Crest of a slump at the minute.
Well, you know, the way I look at this now, right, is that not what you heard from the CEO, right? I know whether Eddie Howe's in tenure or not. If I'd heard that from my CEO, that would be the best pat on the back my players could have regarding morale boost.
I was, you know, I thought Jamie summed it up the other night brilliantly, you know, when he said, what's the song, the Elvis song?
Oh, yeah.
Words are cheap.
Type of thing.
That's,
it is?
Here he is.
I'll put it on the screen, Win.
They haven't seen a wicket quite a while.
Oh, really? Oh, dear. That's one way of putting it, Chris, isn't it? Morning.
Oh, yeah, mate, you okay?
Very diplomatic.
Okay. Morning, everyone. We'll go straight to Razor, please.
Good morning,
Morning.
Eddie. Firstly, could we check on Sandro Tonali, who was substituted at half-time the other night, and you mentioned after the match that there was an injury there, so how is he doing?
He's had a scan. We don't think it's too bad. So we'll give him every chance to declare himself fit, if possible.
What type of injury was it?
I think it was a knock, very similar to Joe Linton suffered sort of a similar fate, sort of dead leg type feeling, but Sandro felt it was concerning enough for him to get scanned. We'll see how he is today. And yeah, give him every chance to be fit.
And what's the latest with Sven Botman?
Sven has had, I believe, an injection in his back. I haven't actually seen him personally since the Tottenham game. I think he's had an injection, and we hope that will bring about his return quite quickly. But now I think there's a time period for his injection to work, which I think is around about a week, and then we see how he is. And
how close are you to being able to name Johan Wissa in a matchday squad for the first time?
Getting closer. We're getting closer. We did 11v11 game, sort of for him on trying to get my days right Wednesday. And that was good. That was more minutes for him, around about half an hour. He did well. So yeah, we're sort of see how he is today.
I know you won't want to jinx it, but has he come through everything so far okay? Because obviously the fear will be, well, one of the fears will be re-injury, won't it?
Touch wood, Razor. He's yeah. So far he's looked good, and he's come through everything. But I always say in these situations, we still have training today, and yeah, we've got to make a decision as to whether he's ready to not just be fit, but fit to make a difference and fit to perform to his highest levels.
How much of a frustration this season has losing points from winning positions been? Because it happened the other night, of course, which was really difficult to take. And there've been a few other instances, Arsenal at home and the 2 away matches in London last month, is perhaps a bit of an unwanted trend there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been really painful for us because I feel we've lost a lot of points in that respect. And also there's a psychological blow that happens when you do that. And we've done it too many times. Set plays against Arsenal, a set play again against Tottenham, or 2 set plays. One was the second phase. Frustrating. All we can do is work on it and try and put it right. I don't think there's any mysterious sort of consequence or reason for that underneath. I think it's just the game of football is built on random events, and you're looking for patterns and trends all the time. I don't think there's something fundamentally wrong. But we can certainly do better in that respect, and all we can do is do the work and, as I say, try and get the players to execute it better.
And because every match is different, every opponent is different, every kind of passage or piece of play is different. When you talk there about events in the games, what sort of things can you do when it comes to game management or closing a result out?
Yeah, well, I think the rules the Premier League have brought in to do quicken the game up. And I think it's made it a better spectacle, in my opinion. That means game management that you talk about becomes a bit more difficult, whether that's delaying of free kicks, or if a player goes off injured, they can't come back onto the pitch. So I think that's been a really healthy thing for the game, but also means that you're limited really in terms of what you can do in those moments. I think from our perspective, we just have to defend better in individual moments. Certainly the set play perspective, I've just named 4 goals that we've conceded from different games, and they're big moments. And set plays win your games, lose your games, and we've been on the wrong end.
Last one, how nice will it be to see Martin Dubravka again this weekend? He's played every match for Burnley and done very well by all accounts, but you'll be hoping he doesn't have a stormer against you tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable professional, a very good goalkeeper. I think long before I came to the club, he sort of etched his name into legend status really here for what he did for such a long period of time, and how dependable and reliable he was for the football club in difficult moments. So yeah, he comes back, and I'm sure he'll get a warm welcome from all the supporters. I probably won't get to see him because that's just the nature of my job, being hooked away by Lee as soon as the game ends. But I think yeah, he deserves a warm welcome. But I think when it comes to the game, of course, we have to hope he has a busy afternoon.
Thank you. Keith?
Morning, Eddie. Has it been a frustrating couple of days for you, or have you managed to, like, because you normally park things quite well, have you managed to brush it off, or is that one kind of lingered?
A bit of a mixture of both, really. I think we have to move on, and
have to move on quickly, especially this season with the games. You can't linger in negativity for any long period of time. Certainly there was a feeling of big frustration on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, and then of course the preparation starts for a new game. We review the game that's just happened. It's a lot of good, especially in the first half. I thought there was a lot of good in the respect that we pinned Tottenham in, we created some good chances. That first goal was probably too long in coming, but in saying that, we did get it, and then we didn't navigate that last period of the game well at all.
Do you think, is it anything to do with the schedule, the amount of games you've got? Is there maybe like a little bit of maybe mental fatigue like creeping in there for the players late on in games when they're trying to hold on to things rather than maybe going for the second or the third goal to put it out of sight?
I think that may have been the case. Not the fatigue in terms of not being aggressive enough and attacking enough in previous games. I think in this one it was difficult because I think when we scored the second goal, there's minimal time left in the game. And of course, you'd love to score another goal, but I think Tottenham got a set play soon after we scored, and you've just got to defend them. And it's easier said than done, of course, because every set play is a challenge. But we consider ourselves strong enough, certainly tall enough, robust enough to deal with those situations. But we got the details wrong on a couple of moments, and it hurt us.
And I know you spoke about Johan a little bit there, but everywhere you go in Newcastle, all people want to know is when's Johan Wissa back. It feels like there's a sort of desperation from the fan base to see him, and he's really going to help. Do you feel that as well, that once he returns, it's going to give everyone a little bit of a shot in the arm because it's been such a long wait and they've yet to see him kick off?
Yeah, I think it will be a big boost for us. I think a big boost for the squad to have someone of his experience, calibre, quality back in the group. I think we've just got to be sort of mindful of the length of time that he's been out and the lack of training he's had, because normally we'd want to give him more before we put him back onto the pitch. But I think in our situation at the moment, I'm not sure we've got that grace to do that. So I think he's a quality player. We've seen that in training already. We've seen the difference he can make. His movement's excellent. He's a very good finisher, and he is vastly experienced. So I think the transition time to a new team should be less. But it's really his fitness is and match sharpness and match readiness is the concern that we have, and making sure that we enter him at the right time.
And you'll be relieved that he's not going away to play in the African Cup of Nations. I know obviously it was getting towards that stage where he could potentially be called up. Is that something that you've managed to sort out with Congo yourselves, or is that something that he felt, did he want to feel that he wanted to play here and show his best for Newcastle to start with?
Yeah, I think with the way this season's gone and how he's been feeling, I think his priority at the moment was to make sure he concentrates purely on his fitness and he has no other distractions or pressures to be fit. We're trying to make the right decisions for him on a daily basis. We've planned his comeback from a long time out, just to try and get him ready in the quickest time possible, but also when he is ready and able to take the load. So we're confident we can do that.
Andy?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Sorry, I'm going to ask you another one about Johan Wissa. How sharp has he looked in these 11v11 games, and how ready at the moment as we sit here do you think he is to make at least the squad at Newcastle?
Yeah, he's looked good. I think we've seen all the qualities that we saw at Brentford. His movement is very good. He's quick, he's sharp, he's got that low centre of gravity. And I think already you can see he'll build good relationships with the players around him. So yeah, I've been really happy with what he's done. As I say, it's is he at 100% best physical condition? Probably not, but I think that will take some time. I think it's similar with other players that come back from injury. You've seen Lewis Hall going down with cramp towards the end of games. Ideally with Lou, we'd probably have had longer to build him up, but we don't have that luxury. So many games that we need the squad fit and ready, and hopefully Johan will have a big part to play.
Just on another player, I saw a stat the other day. Newcastle United haven't won a game that Bruno Guimaraes hasn't started in since he made his first start for the club. Has Bruno now become, I use this word quite lightly, but has Bruno become Newcastle's talisman, almost?
It's not a good stat. Is it you that keeps coming up with these ones?
No, I did that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is. I mean, I think he's obviously our captain. He leads the team really well. He's a big player. He's the heartbeat of our team, and I think his biggest strength is that he wants the ball in every moment, whether we're winning, losing, under pressure, enjoying the ball, the dominant team. He's that player that gravitates to the ball, and that's so important. You've got players that can really make the difference technically, and he helps us a lot in our build-up. He helps a lot in the final third. Great to see him scoring the other night, and the way that he celebrated the goal as well is true, typical Bruno. So I think he's an inspirational figure. Of course, I've got to try and help him and manage him as well. So with our game schedule, we have to try and at the right moments give him a breather, but for a couple of reasons. One, for his long-term availability, but also his performances.
Just on David Hopkinson, some really ambitious comments this week that I'm sure you're aware of. What did you make of those comments? And also, I just want to know what your kind of relationship, how well are you getting along with David and Ross latterly as well at the moment?
Two brilliant additions to the football club, I think, both of them. I obviously have a lot more day-to-day contact with Ross than I do David because of the roles. But David's come in with a real energy and presence and, yes, ambition. I think that's a great thing for the long-term future of the football club, someone with the energy to really take the club forward. But two brilliant additions, two people that really care about Newcastle as well and are fitting in really, really well. So I think it's great news for everyone that they're here and to add their expertise.
Just finally, I know you just said there you kind of park a game, you move on to the next one. Is this one of those instances where you want the players to almost use the frustration, the anger, the clear disappointment from Tuesday against Burnley tomorrow?
Yeah, we have to use everything to inspire us and to help us and to give us renewed focus for the games ahead. That was a difficult one because you feel with such little time left we've thrown away points, but it happens and we've had it the other way around. It's seeing the longer term picture and seeing that, okay, we could look at that as a point gained in a different mindset towards the end of the season. But we're only going to do that if we get consistent results. That's 4 positive performances since the last international break. Let's look at it that way and try and win this game.
Thank you. Nisha?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
You've spoken so much this season about your desire for consistency from your team. Does it feel like you're really close to that clicking? Because, I mean, you did everything but beat Spurs, you know, as you said, 4 positive results recently. Does it feel close?
It feels like we're moving in the right direction. I felt that definitely since the last international break, that we have come back a much better team with renewed energy, better physical performances, better body language, better delivery of what we're trying to do. More goal mouth action, more chances created. So as long as we continue to trend in that direction, I'll be very happy. And then you have to take the ebb and flow of results because it's not always a straight line. But yeah, I've been very happy, and the consistency is what we're all searching for. I think every football manager will say the same, and hopefully the results will match.
And Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon, 2 great options. Barnes with his goals. Anthony Gordon made a big difference when he came on against Spurs. How do you see that battle evolving, particularly with the games that you've got coming up?
I don't look at it necessarily like that, but I understand why you would. Yeah, it's great to see. Harvey's been in a rich vein of form. I think he's been playing very well. And then you see Ant come on the pitch and deliver the kind of performance that he did in a short time. And you know that we've got 2 outstanding left wingers who can add different qualities, but in their own way, brilliant players. I think there's a versatility there that we can see them both on the same pitch, both in the team together. So all I want is to see whoever I pick play at their best levels.
Simon?
Morning, Eddie. You've said since the international break you've been feeling like you're on an upwards trajectory in terms of results and certainly performances. So how important is it to not let that feeling from the other night linger and to move past it and get back to where you want it to be?
Yeah, I think we can't let anything derail us from our improved performances. I think keeping a real focus on the next game, on the next training session, and forgetting the past, whether we've won the last game, lost the last game, it's irrelevant. It's about the future. But I think we do have to learn our lessons and try and improve those things that we need to get better at.
Burnley would obviously rather have more points, and they would argue that in some respects they might be worth a few more points this season. All 3 of the promoted teams have actually done okay. Do you feel it's changed the competitive balance of the division this year?
It is. It feels like it's one of the most
competitive Premier Leagues that I've experienced, there's no easy games. Cliche, yes, but it's true. Every team we've played this year has been strong, has a clear vision, identity, and way of playing, and you know that you have to raise your game to find a way of winning. I think you see the table itself tells a story. I think it's everyone searching for consistency, everyone's searching for back-to-back wins, and if you get them, you elevate your position, and if you don't, as we are at the moment, we're sort of wanting to move higher in the table, but we're seeking that run that will take us there.
Thank you. We'll go to Rebecca, Lee and Dom, please.
Morning, Eddie. Just on the late goals concessions, you talked about a little bit about it post-match on Tuesday, and you kind of mentioned about it being a cyclical nature and used the away goals at the away win as an example, and obviously you found a breakthrough against Everton, getting that first away win in a long, long time. I was wondering, is there anything from that process in order to be able to achieve an away win that you can be able to use in order to kind of kick this late goals concession thing, or is it just a purely psychological thing?
Well, I think, look, it's happened a few times that when you win a game, we beat Manchester City 2-1, you know, we managed that end of the game really well in a similar field to Tottenham, really. We're under pressure late in the game. There was 1 goal margin and we defended it well, and we navigated a tough situation, I thought, excellently. But obviously that won't get necessarily reflected on the same that Tottenham will, because Tottenham scored. And so it's all about moments, and you're looking for the players in that moment just to corner comes in, you know, clear the ball out the box and be decisive in our actions. And I don't think we were, and I think that led to both goals. So, as I say, we'll go away, we'll work on it. I don't see a big problem there, but obviously we've got to prove that by doing the job.
And you just mentioned Lewis Hall earlier as well, obviously saying that, you know, you maybe didn't have the luxury to have a little bit more time with him. I mean, he's been really impressive with his starts in the Premier League since the international break. Just how impressed have you been with him? Because it was another great performance on Tuesday. Yeah,
I think he's done really, really well. I think the only problem for Lou is late in games when he's started to fatigue. I'd say in the first half of the Everton game, the Tottenham game, Manchester City the same, I think he's been outstanding. And I think he's really shown his qualities. He brings a different dynamic from that position to other players that we have, a real technical, high-level technical player, but also athletically he gets forward and combines really well with the players ahead of him. So I think he can be really pleased, but we just have to navigate this next period well, because we want him to remain on the pitch, and to do that we're going to have, you know, to be careful with him, because we've got so many games and he's so important.
Thank you. Lee?
Eddie, can I just go back to a couple of years ago? There was a great picture of, I think it was Nick Pope and the back four all sort of hugging each other at the end because it kept a clean sheet. Is that the sort of spirit you want to see again, going into these crucial games, and that sort of togetherness and that mentality of being together as a unit?
Yeah, I think the defensive mentality has to be there, not just from the back four and the goalkeeper, but from the whole team. I think we have to enjoy defending collectively, which I think that year in particular, I think we did. I think we had a brilliant attitude to our defending our goal. I think the change this year will be with the amount of games that we have in our current schedule. The team will be chopping and changing. It has to. So I think then you lose that that year. I think you could name the back four and the goalkeeper, and you could sort of build that consistency in performance through that very minimal changes, and they built sort of a real reputation as being a formidable four. So it's a different season, but still, whoever plays, you want them to adopt the mindset that no one passes us.
Yeah, just looking back at the sort of the great teams in the Premier League, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, all had great sort of times on the pitch, but good times off. I know these days you kind of just go to the pub and things like that. It'd be nice if you could, but are you obviously still wearing that behind the scenes, the need to have those moments where you like sit back and enjoy things even for a little while?
Yes, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. You want the players to get on off the pitch, of course you do, and you want them to have great relationships, almost a brotherhood feel, because I think that's what you need to be truly successful. You don't need to look at yourselves as teammates. You've got to be closer than that. You're sharing experiences with people that are so unique
that not many people get to experience. I think it's such a magical thing. So if you're going to have a really special time together, it can make it even more enjoyable. But I think the days of that kind of socialising are in the past, because we're playing every 3 days. And if we mix that in, I don't think you'd see the performances that we want. So let's keep it to being brothers rather than drinking colleagues.
Thank you. Dominic?
Morning, Eddie. You've touched on Lewis Hall, but just speaking more generally, how are your full-backs shaping up? Tino Livramento, obviously, back from injury, playing a lot of games, and then Kieran Trippier and Emil Kraft in terms of their recovery as well.
Yeah, Tino's okay, I think. He's done really well. As you say, tough for him because he's straight back in and playing a lot of minutes, but we don't have any other options in that position currently with Emil out and Kieran out, and I think they won't be back sort of any time soon, in a sense the next few games anyway. We hope to get them back towards the Christmas period. It'd be nice if we could, because it would alleviate some of the burden on Tino, but he's shouldering it really well, as is Lewis, and hopefully that can stay the case.
Just on Jacob Ramsey, you spoke a month ago about how he's in a good place, just needed to improve physically to get a run of games. Since then he hasn't started a game, and we've seen Joe Willock, Lewis Miley get opportunities. I'm just wondering what the latest is with him, why he's maybe not playing as much.
Yeah, he's doing really well, JJ. We're building him up physically, getting him to understand fully how we play. I've been very pleased with him, actually. He's a very, very good footballer, and I think we'll all see that very soon. Very composed, very rarely gives the ball away, but is creative as well. So he had a nasty ankle injury at Leeds, and when he came back, it was a case of, you could see he was a little bit short on fitness of where he needed to be to execute what we want him to. But he's getting there, and he's in a lot better place now.
Thank you. We've got a Gary, Jordan, and then Luke, please.
Morning, Eddie. Just
Morning.
to go back to Martin, we know last season was such a fairy tale in the end, but he ended up coming in and playing a role in what proved to be a pivotal part of last season. Just how big of an impact did he have, and how sad is it when a legend of the club does depart?
Yeah, he was massive for us. I mean, I think Nick got injured, and Martin came in, and the team really benefited, not necessarily from that change, but benefited in that moment from a lot of wins. I think we went on a run of, I think it was 8 or 9 wins in a row, and elevated our league position from one of difficulty to, then it gave us the platform to go on and achieve what we did, and played in key games, the Arsenal games in the semi-final. So yeah, I mean, I think I spoke before about what he did before I came to the football club in difficult moments, in relegation battles, and he always stood up and made a difference. And as I said, I really enjoyed working with him. I think he's an outstanding person and goalkeeper. So it'd be good to welcome him back, I'm sure, for the supporters, because I know he had a special relationship with them, and certainly he deserves a warm round of applause.
And just on David's comment in the week about Newcastle being able to challenge the best in the world by 2030, I'm sure you'll be up for the challenge of doing that, but does it add an extra pressure on you to achieve that?
I don't necessarily think it adds an extra pressure on me. I can't put more pressure on myself than I already do. No one externally can do that. I think David's come in with great ambitions, and I welcome that, and I think the club needs that. Certainly it's the only way to push the club forward. We need everyone to have that same mindset and to adopt a winner's mentality in everything that we're delivering. Of course, we've got loads of work to do, whether that's the training ground. You could go right through the club and go, well, if we want to be the best, we've got huge amount of work to turn over to get there. But you need to start at that point and having the mindset to be the best, and then you need to go and do the work to do it. And I think that's what David's going to try and do. I'm fully behind it, and obviously I've got to play my part. But in terms of the pressure or the outside pressure, I can't put more than I do already.
Okay, Jordan?
More than Eddie. In terms of the Premier League table, you're 12th, but only 4 points below 5th. Do you expect the table to stay tight this season, or will it eventually even out? And if it does, how important is it you're on the right side of that?
I've got no idea. But that's a tough one, that. As I say, it's you never quite know from season to season how the table will look. I do think it possibly could stay tight, because I don't see a lot between the teams. I see any game you couldn't really call. It's one of those seasons where anyone could beat anybody, and that's the strength of the Premier League.
That's why the league's so good. From our part, we're looking for a run of wins. A run of wins makes all the difference. You talk about the points gap. We're well aware it's so close, so tight. I think Aston Villa have gone on a great run and elevated themselves to a really good position, and we have to look to do the same. We're capable of doing it, but we can't keep talking about it. I think we've made a good return after this international break in terms of Premier League results, and that's what we're looking to continue.
Yeah, obviously it's a big week. The time we had Derby to come next week, and I just wondered how does that impact your team selection going forward for the next 2 games with that game in mind, or is it just full focus on these next 2?
Yeah, I think I always have a half an eye on the future, but I think the priority is always the next game. So of course you're looking at 2-3 games ahead and going, well, you're sort of trying to move players around and seeing where you can give players a break and seeing where you can't. That game's on the horizon. We know how important it is, but at the moment we've got 2 big games before.
Thank you. I'll go to Luke next.
I've been weighing up whether to ask this or not, but I'm not going to. I've just noticed you and Lee have got exactly the same haircut.
Wow. You're back on hair again.
Back on hair. After your cool bald jokes last week.
Was that it? Is that your question? Right,
no,
cut him off.
You're going to the same barber though.
Cut him off, please.
Right, I've got a proper question. Can I
Turn his
direct?
mic off, Chris.
Can I be a direct?
Sorry?
Is Joe and Visser going to be on the bench tomorrow?
That is very direct.
It's very direct.
And I'm giving myself a little bit of time just to pause to see how I answer it. I don't know. Let's wait and see. I actually don't know because we have a training session today and I'll assess all the players.
David's comments were really, he was very energetic, very effervescent in what he said, and we enjoyed speaking to him. Is it realistic in a 5-year time frame for Newcastle United to be considered one of the top clubs in the world, in your view?
I don't think that's necessarily one for me to go into the meat and bones and try and break that down. I think I back what David said in terms of being aggressive, being ambitious, trying to streamline everything and make it quicker. We all want success tomorrow. I think as long as we're making very, very good decisions short term for the long term, that's fine. I think we then need to back it up. So it's, having that plan to be the best, that's great, but then we need to act like we're the best in every way to achieve that goal. So then we've got a lot of work to do to get there. Whether we can do it in that time period, who knows? But I think having the ambition of doing it is a good thing.
One of the things he really wants to focus on is turbocharging commercial revenues. And we know, and you've been enough to know that the richest clubs tend to have the most success. So you must welcome that focus and that drive to increase the amount of money ultimately that you're going to have to spend on fees and wages.
Yeah, well, I think it all goes hand in hand. It's revenue, and as you say, there's a big correlation between wages and success. I think my job is to try and sort of reverse that success without necessarily spending the most amount of money, and that comes from being really smart in everything you're doing. But I think then reverting back to the club, and we need better facilities, we need better ways of working. So I think what David's talking about is trying to improve everything that we're delivering from top to bottom and finding the extra percent you need for true success. And it's not just about one season, it's about being successful every season. And to do that is very, very difficult, but that's the challenge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Luke. Chris?
Morning, Eddie. England still haven't taken another wicket, just
Oh,
so you know. Nick Pope, where's he at in terms of when is he likely to be available again?
Unknown at the moment. Not on a serious injury, not a long-term one, but enough to keep him out for probably the next 2 to 3 weeks. Probably looking around Christmas time again for him. I think we've got a sort of a glut of players are looking at that around Christmas return. If we can shave a bit of time off that and he can come back earlier, then great, but that's the plan at the moment.
And how do you think Aaron Ramsdale's performed so far as he waited for his Premier League chance that he's got it the last couple of games?
Yeah, I think he's done well. I think it's always very difficult to come straight into the team, especially in such a pivotal position. But Everton, I thought he did very, very well. Tottenham, I thought he did well. I think, again, commanded his box well, distributed the ball well. Didn't really have a lot to do. They had 2 shots on target and scored 2 goals, so that's an unfortunate thing for him, but I don't think he can be blamed for either goal.
Thanks, Chris. Sean, to finish.
Morning, Eddie. We spoke to Ross Wilson as well as David Hopkinson on Monday, and he said that there might be some more value in signing players from abroad rather than Premier League players. How aligned are you with that vision? And secondly, how important is it going to the January transfer window that you've got a sporting director in place that you didn't necessarily have in the summer?
Yeah, I think that's very, very wise from Ross. I think that's something that we've tried to utilise the foreign market without probably having the expertise in previous seasons that we need to make consistently good decisions in those markets. I think the foreign players that we have signed from other leagues have done really, really well. So certainly a route and an avenue that I'd back and I'd support. But of course, you need the network, you need the people in the right places to help that process. I think Ross will give us all of that. He'll use his vast experience and build up his team and his method of work. He certainly made a really impressive start here, and not having a sporting director last summer was hugely detrimental to what we were trying to do. So to have all those positions now filled is a huge relief.
And just on Fabian Schär, he said before the Tottenham game in the matchday programme that he's been a bit frustrated that he hasn't been in the team. Obviously, he's a player who's done tremendously well for Newcastle over the years, and actually the circumstances in which he came out of the team is probably a bit unlucky. How valuable do you still see him as part of your squad, and how important of a role does he still have to play this season? Yeah,
Fabian's an outstanding player and has been for me for a long period of time, very, very consistent and dependable and reliable. Every player that's not playing will be frustrated and will be anxious to get back into the team. All I can say to any of them is when they're picked, they need to perform, and Fabian has done. And he's training very well behind the scenes. He's been ultra professional, so I've been really pleased.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. See you soon.
And there you go.
There we go.
The Eddie Presser. We're going to do things, like I say, slightly differently. So I have put in there if you've got anything that you've heard from the presser that you want us to talk about, throw it in now. We've started a couple. Where people were chatting. So we're going to do the starred ones to start with. Then we'll get into some of the questions because Wynne has been so busy doing his secretarial work in the background, writing some of the bits down that were interesting comments, I must admit. There was a couple of curveball comments I quite liked, especially from Newcastle World. The journos there, they always come out with a couple of good ones. The first thing I want to do, though, is I want to apologise. I don't know what it is about the journos. They still can't press a blooming
Press the button on the mics.
Yeah.
It's pathetic.
It really is. So apologies, because again, the quality isn't from us. It is from them. So again, I just wanted to, I hope that doesn't spoil your viewing, because like I said, that's out of our control when they can't just do a simple thing like press a button when they're talking. And the other thing that annoys me is when they start really loud and then they turn the head away from the mic and then they go so distant. It's like as if they're on a tunnel somewhere else. But like I say, if you can, as was just put in the bottom there, if we've got over 400 watching, just do us one thing and smash that like button. That'll be fantastic. Like I say, we all work really hard to try and deliver you these
watching. Hit the like, please. Hit the like.
Just smash that like
thumbs
button.
up. It costs you nothing.
Exactly.
Does us the world of good.
Indeed. Go on then, matey. We'll do the stars and then we'll get directly.
We've got on the City was a fluke. Everton was one of those days. So when we beat teams, it's a fluke, but when we lose, it's the manager's fault, says Kev Bell. What you on about? And they've been having a go. Nobody's insulting your intelligence. We're discussing what you said. Nobody beats Man City by a fluke. We also missed good chances in that game, and we destroyed Everton. No fluke. Darren saying that expect the team tomorrow. Let's just have a quick look at that. Would you think there's any chance of it? Is Asula not still injured? He wasn't asked about Asula.
No, he's going to be out for another month at least.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that lineup is definitely going to be wrong. And this is referring to Wisser. I think he's only going to get match fitness and sharpness by playing him. Everybody's on the Wisser trail. Wisser has to be on the bench, surely. This will give Nick a rest second half. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what'll happen. Wissa has to be in the squad tomorrow for his first Toon experience, not in the dark place. We need 3 points in the Champions League. Burnley will be a tough game, but the time's right to drop Nick now after his performance against Spurs. Irish Assassin, he is ready. He played 2 games behind closed doors. He should be ready if King Eddie Howe says so. Right, here's the thing. I was also under the, it would appear, misapprehension that he's played 2 11v11s. But Eddie said, in fact, he only played 30 minutes.
Yeah.
On Wednesday. 30 minutes on Wednesday in an 11v11. And I'd understood that to be a full 90. So the only 90 that would appear that he has played was for the under-21s.
Well, he certainly didn't play against Scunthorpe. He wasn't even in the squad at Scunthorpe. And like I say, the game that he played, we don't know how many minutes he played in that one. I mean, if he only played 30 minutes on Wednesday, maybe he only played 30 minutes the 11v11 before behind closed doors. So, like I say, I think this is going to be more of a slow build rather than, straight in the hot seat. And that's why I said I cannot see Newcastle starting without Nick Voltemada up top. I think you'll get an hour potentially, and then maybe you'll see the likes of Wissa getting involved. And to be fair, having a watch against the likes of Burnley, who play this 4-5 system, it's going to be a mid to low block. I think Voltemada will be the key because of the way he drops into those hollows. I think he's the one, the type of movement that he does that can potentially unlock some space in behind. It's whether we go ahead and exploit it. That's been our massive problem. I mean, I watched the highlights last night of the Mackems versus Liverpool, and again, you're talking striking the ball over around about 25 yards, gets a lucky deflection off Van Dijk, but it beats Alisson. And this is something that I think that Newcastle have to learn. They have to start hitting the ball and having a go. And if it goes into the stands, have the backbone to actually come back and do another one and try again. Because I think the trouble is at the minute, it feels very much like, to me, I say confident, are we trying to get the perfect goal too many times?
It reminds me very much of Arsenal a few seasons ago. When they wanted to try and walk the ball into the net. Yeah. Aren't we clever? Anyway, if Wissa can come out of the Burnley game uninjured, he's ready for the season ahead. You expect a good kicking from Burnley, though. Maybe we're actually seeing the impact of PSR and FFP to the level of the playing field to make it more competitive. Every team bar Wolves seems capable of winning games now. No result is a gimme. Interesting take.
Well, we are very close across the board, aren't we? When you think about it, you're as close to the top end of the table as you are relegation in this current climate.
The only thing I would say about that is, if you look at the table now, if it is the result of FFP, what has it resulted in? Has Eddie Howe ever dropped or rotated Dan Burn, excluding injuries or red cards? Can't think of a time. And why on earth would he? I don't like the new... this is interesting, by the way. I don't like the new World Cup format where the seeded teams can't face any other seeded teams till the quarterfinals. That's a joke. 5 o'clock this afternoon, folks. World Cup draw.
World Cup draw, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's taking the it's like the Champions League in the old format, isn't it? Where a lot of people actually didn't start watching it until the last 16, where you do get that competitive edge. It's different in the new format because you will face obviously decent opposition through the early stages. I do think it's taken a little bit of the gloss out of it, if I'm honest with you. And again, are we not just looking at the favourites to be, going all the way again type of thing and getting further and further in this competition by doing this? It does seem to throw a little bit of cotton wool around them.
It does indeed. Money, money, money. Wisser, 1 foot in tomorrow or 1 foot out?
He's got his toes in.
We do not have a structure to sign for players. That's honest, says Kim Cam. Question, is it normal for the league table to be this close in point? It has been getting closer season by season.
Yeah, literally over the last decade, hasn't it? You could see there's more of a squash now.
That certainly the middle 12 or whatever, if you want to say, or just, the fluctuate like that all the time.
Yeah. It's funny because, like I say, before I always said it was always like a Super League and the Premier League. You could have split the Premier League into 2 tables years ago. It's not so much the case. I mean, there was, I did question it a couple of shows ago when we said about we are on that fringe. If you look at the 2 tables, there was a small gap just building. And I say a small gap, it was 3 points, But you've still got to gain those 3 points and hope for the teams above you drop those 3 points to gain positions. And that's why even now, having 2 wins, 6 points, we haven't moved very far up the table anymore. Where them 6 points 2-3 seasons ago may have jumped you up. And we said, the win, them extra 2 points against Spurs would have saw us, instead of being in 13th, would have seen us in 7th, please. There's a massive difference there, even though you're still only 1 point ahead of most of the teams below you.
Irish Assassin saying, I think this is referring to when you said, I hope the bad sound hasn't spoiled you. He says, Gary, you can't spoil our viewing. Win, on the other hand.
Hey, listen, he's my right-hand man. I'm only as good as the man next to me.
Roger Cook, morning, Roger. Eddie Howe vocally spoke rightly of our fullbacks being mint and how they are ready. How long do you see them staying there?
Well, like I said,
staying there or staying here?
I think that is the big question.
That's it depends on how the club performs, and that is all the stars, my friend.
Let's just on Rodgers before we get into the press there, mate, because I know, like I say, you made quite a few on that. And again, thanks for being with us out there. This may go a little bit longer than the 10:30 that we usually go to, because I always think this presser coming up to Christmas, and especially after what we read, and we had a great series on yesterday. It's very interesting to listen to people's opinions on what Mr. Hopkinson has said. And as we know, there's an expectation of something like £1.2 trillion, and all the big toffs have all jetted off. It was so strange not to hear Craig Hope's voice in the presser this morning, because obviously he's on the plane to America. And in my opinion, again, this is only my opinion, I've not read this anywhere, the reasons why they've gone to America is because of sponsorships. It's because of trying to get that global, appearance, if you like. And they need to go to places like this to try and push us further afield and get that, I suppose, audience, that global audience. So it's going to be interesting what comes from that. So again, it may be a little bit of an extension. If you guys can stay with us, that'll be fantastic. If you've got things to do, then I appreciate that also. But Win, let's move on to what he said about the fullbacks. The question for me is, they're being noticed now because they're in the shop window. They're in the shop window continually because we haven't really got replacements. Now, will they stay with us? I think what Roger was, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Rog, will they stay with us because there's obviously bigger fish coming in to the pool now? But the other thing that you've got to question, I mean, obviously we've heard Tino state that he's leaving the decision-making up to his dad, who's his agent. Whether he signs a new contract or not, that will be in the new year. But surely coming and staying at Newcastle, more or less guaranteeing your first team football, are we just looking at a wage difference here? Because obviously he's getting his football, he's getting himself obviously in the shop window for an international appearance. The right side is always going to be more competitive than the left side. We know that at international level. So he's got to achieve, and I'm talking Tino over Hall here. So he has to achieve a lot more than Hall does, just because he's on the right side. But for me, the big question is, does he want football or does he want money? Because if he goes elsewhere, they're guaranteed a first-team football. I mean, goes elsewhere to bigger clubs. You may get the money, but you ain't going to get the minutes. So I think what Tino has to do now is have a conversation and say, do I want to continue playing and pushing my career to the top of what I can be? And with that should come the financial reward from the club.
A bit harsh though, because he can also he's got a better chance of pushing his career forward in terms of winning honours and all that with, let's say, Man City. Better chance with them than he has with us.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we've seen a lot of players go elsewhere. There's more competition for places in the clubs that are competing for cups and championships and everything else.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying to you is, what he has to make a decision on for me now is, do I want the brass and, like you say, the potential silverware, or do I want continued minutes? Because that is where you are at the moment.
And the minutes will affect his international
Absolutely.
career as well. That was Wazza, thanks Wazza. That's why it's so frustrating. We could be up top. We certainly could.
Sorry, Roger's come back at us with a more of a definitive question there. I should have said in that message, how long can they stay in their respective positions safely without resting? Mate, that is the $64 million question. I think that is why I think it's essential that the transfer team, whoever that is, Ross Wilson and the group, do their due diligence really well and get the right people in now. And yes, potentially they are going to be a bit part players that come in. But they desperately need a fullback to support these guys.
It goes back to what I've said a couple of times, and I nicked somebody else's argument, which is it's easy to buy good players, top quality players who are going to go straight into your first team. It's harder to buy somebody who's prepared to come and play second fiddle or fight for his place, to prove that he's not second fiddle. If you're going out spending top dollar to buy someone, they more or less know that when they arrive at the club they're going to be playing.
Yeah.
When we are trying to sign a fullback who sees what's in front of him, he's got to be thinking, well, am I going to get minutes in this? This bows down to your earlier thing about Tino. What does he want? Do you want minutes or do you want money?
Yeah, well, let's do a couple, because I know you put this one on. Wazza, thanks ever so much. That's why it's frustrating, he says, because we could be up top, and I think that comes from that. I think Kev put in about us dropping 6 places or something like that with that kick of the ball, which was frustrating. That's what I'm saying. That's how close this game is. Laura's coming with one as well, mate.
Yeah, thanks for answering my question. Hugs, Gary and Wynne. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Laura.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Lovely of you. Thank you so much, Woody. So let's crack on then with the presser. Because like I say, there was because we were talking to each other behind the scenes. A couple of really interesting points might come of that. Fire away when you're ready.
We started off with the usual injury glossary, which was Sandro's having a scan. So doesn't know, but hopeful. Sven Botman has had an injection in his back, which could take a couple of days to have its effect. So it would appear that he's not going to be back anytime soon. And then it came on the interesting one, Wissa And with a wry smile, Eddie said, "He's getting closer." And the way he said that to me,
He's in the team, isn't
he's certainly in the squad.
he? Yeah. So that's what I mean. He's in the.
And that was when he said he had 30 minutes 11v11 on Wednesday and looked good. And he was specifically asked, perhaps on the back of Keith Downey's article in midweek, when one of the a player that he'd been speaking to said that Wissa was quote unquote frightening. So if he's been frightening in an 11v11 behind closed doors, fingers crossed. The magic bullet is on its way.
It is. Just before we get on to the next one, mate, there was a question because we were talking about Tino, and again, I can't see where it's gone, but I did see it, and apologies, I can't remember who put it in.
That one?
No, it was the comment was Tino would get into Man City right now, and I totally agree with you. I'm not saying he wouldn't. What my argument is, there's more competition. If Tino has a bad game, and we know that's in Tino's locker, we see it on a regular occasion at Newcastle where he just switches off a little bit, and it's your job, it's my job, it's your job, rather than just taking control. But that's youth. That's just mentality, and I'm hoping that will come with experience, where he will just take control. And we've seen it, on occasions where you've got the likes of Chow. He'll see the keeper coming, but he'll just take control and just kick it. He'll just get rid of it wherever it goes. That's what Tino needs to develop. And I think at this present moment in time, as much, Ricky, thank you, mate. I think it was Ricky. Yeah, cheers, Assassin. As much as I think Tino is of the quality to get into most teams in the Premier League, I also think he's of the quality where he could also get dropped pretty quickly because you're up against other serious contenders. And I think at the minute, there's a number of players at Newcastle have more of a freer role, even if their performances drop, than they would be in a top 4 team. And I say that with a bit of a loose tongue because it's no longer a top 4. It's no longer a top 6. We're talking of a top 8 here. That's how close this league is becoming, and I think that's something that we all have to take into consideration, because there was one of Eddie's points, and again I go back to what the guys were saying in the chat there, but it was the fact that why can't we defend? And bear with me, because I'm sure one of the lads put it right at the end. I think it was Tanguy. There you go. It was. My question to Eddie would have been, why are we sitting back rather than defending higher up? Why can't we keep the ball? It's just some of the questions that we've asked many a time, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
ball
Eddie
retention in particular.
Yeah. And for me, it was more the fact that I think when you look at the way the Premier League is now, and what Eddie's trying to do, and again, I do think it was a mistake by bringing Shaw in so late in the game, because it did look to me, the more I watched that goal towards the end, everybody leaving it to somebody else to do the job that they were taxed to do. Shaw could have quite easily closed down Romero easily. Romero got off the floor, remember, and still had time to do a bicycle kick. So, for me, there's still a lot of question marks about Eddie's tactical way of defending a goal. The best way of defense is attack. If you've got the ball and you can keep hold of the ball, and I think that comes well with what Tanguy is saying, because we just can't. So maybe that's the reasons why Eddie goes more defensive, because he knows we haven't got the ability to keep hold of the ball in the final third or the opposing third. So I think both of those questions are virtually answered when you look at Eddie Howe's approach to game management towards the end of each game. I don't think Eddie Howe has the confidence in his players to retain the ball, so he goes very defensively, and unfortunately, that can create more of an issue than it does a solution.
Tangy again saying, can you imagine if Wissa grabs 3 goals in the next week and Isaac is stuck on 2 after all the games he's played? To which Wazza has come back and said, very, very thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frighteningly. Whistle
low and let him go, let him go. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's all you need is a bit of Freddie Mercury and Queen on a Friday morning.
Meanwhile, back at the presser. So Wissa, it would appear, is very, very close. So I would say almost nailed on to be starting, to be on the, in the match squad tomorrow. The next thing he was asked about was Bruno. He was presented with a fact yet again that we've heard a million times, that Newcastle have never won without Bruno in the team. So in the Premier League anyway. So and he said yes, what he loves about Bruno is that he always wants the ball. He's always looking for the ball. And he is our main source of attacking movement, if you want.
It just brings you something extra because of that passion. We said before about Dan Burn, and somebody made a comment about why Dan Burn. How many times has Dan Burn been dropped from Eddie Howe's team when he's not suspended or injured? And I can't recall it. But again, I think Eddie Howe relies on that bounce, that Geordie bounce, and I think, again, that what we were saying before, when you look at 3 very defensive midfielders in the 3 that we had, my missus is wearing a Bella collar. Hello, very nice. When you, that's not anything nasty, by the way. That is, we're getting a new puppy this weekend for one of the girls. And the collar's come for the dog, and she's wearing it for some unknown reason. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Anyway, what you have
with
to
me
do,
leash,
yeah, with my leash, indeed. What you have to look at from all the spec that's been given, and this is why I said, by holding candles to certain individuals, what you lose sight on those around them, and that's why I said, I made the comment that Tonali isn't the leader. And I don't mean that because he's not a good player, because he's a fantastic player. But he's not the progressive ball player a lot of the time. He's the boy who gets the ball back for you. He's the Jack Russell in the team, if you like. And when you see the amount of balls in the final third that was played by J7 and Tonali during the Spurs game was 0. There was nothing in the final third. There was output from Miley, but there wasn't a lot of output. That's why we were missing so much. A basic 6, somebody who does the Tonali role, but what we lose from Tonali is that final third impact, because he has the shot on him. He has that eye for delivering the ball through a tight channel. And I think by Eddie Howe's tactic, by dropping him into that deep role where he's not effective in the final third, we miss out on a massive amount of football from a very quality driven player. And that's why I said, I think for me, it's a case of you've got to start playing the right player in the right position against the right opposition, and then you'll see a move forward from Newcastle.
Irish Assassin is jumping on the song lyrics bandwagon. They call him Wissa, Wissa, faster than lightning. The old Flipper tune.
Flipper,
You've got to be of an age to remember Flipper. My friend Flipper.
Flicker? That's another channel, mate. That's OnlyFans.
No. Flicker was a horse.
Horse, yeah, I know.
My friend Flicker.
Yeah.
From the Kentucky Bluegrass. Where are we here? Thing is, Bruno has hardly missed any games since he came. He didn't start against Chelsea or Arsenal in the Cup, and we won. Yeah, that's in the Cup. As I said, in Premier League games, we ain't won without him. We
haven't won a game without him. But again, you do get that bounce from the Cup competitions from a lot more players, you see. And I think that's the drop-off. Where when you've got that Russian roulette game, and you've got one game to prove yourself, to move forward in a competition, you get that 5% bounce. Because again, that's all about bringing the right communication from the coach to the team in the dressing room. Are we not getting that from every game? Because every game is to me a semi-final, type of attitude. Because
should be
for us to deliver what Hopkinson wants us to deliver, it's got to start on the grass. It can't start in the back room.
Yeah. So anyway, he was then asked. There was quite a bit of discussion about David Hopkinson's comments.
That was that phone call you just had.
Yeah, and he said 2 brilliant additions in Hopkinson and Ross, and very interestingly, says, I see Ross nearly every day.
Yeah.
You never heard that when Paul Mitchell was here.
That's what I'm saying. That is exactly the point I'm making. What relationship did he not have with Paul Mitchell? Because he said more than once, didn't he?
I've never seen him for a fortnight. I've never seen him for a month.
I don't speak to him.
Was I saying Gary, who played the lead in Lassie? Woof, woof.
What do you mean he's down the well with a broken leg? Bless you.
Yes. So, and as regards Hopkinson saying we're going to be number one, he says, well, that's down to me. I've got to produce the performances on the pitch. I don't know why I've got this in here. I must have come out of sequence with the questioning or something. But Kieran Trippier and Kraft won't be back anytime soon.
No. Well, we know Kraft is out for at least 6 weeks.
So he said Tino has got to hopefully not get injured and continue with his performances. And he was then asked about Ramsey. JJ, as he calls him, he says, yeah, JJ is doing great, putting all the work in. He's still getting used to the way we play, but he's got the creativity in his locker, and he rarely loses the ball. Now, it's interesting for me. I would have tried to come back on that if I'd been the journalist, saying, well, we've just been discussing the problem being we can't keep hold of the ball, and if you've got a player there who you are saying rarely loses the ball, why not give him a few more minutes?
Yeah, I mean, let's just go through that one point then. So we know J7 lost the ball 11 times. We know Lewis Miley lost the ball 14 times. We know Tonali lost the ball 4 times. Bruno lost the ball, I think it was 12 times, right? So there's your 4 midfielders that were in the play against Spursy, right? And he's just mentioned that there's a player there that great ball retainer. And you're like, well, he didn't play. What's the lad got to do then? Or what are you seeing in this midfield that none of us are seeing?
It's criminal. We're sick of commenting on it. It's just criminal the way we can't keep the ball. So that's probably why I wrote that one down, because he said, quote unquote, he rarely loses the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
What else have we got here now? He was on about losing matches from winning positions.
Yeah.
He remarked on the fact, but you got to remember, we got into those winning positions, and that was a stat I had that never got used yesterday, which is Newcastle have scored the first goal in matches more than any other team in the Prem. And we've conceded first only twice in the Prem this season, which again is the lowest. Us and Crystal Palace.
But do you not think on that one then, Win? Do you not think one of the questions, and again, this is about making the gaffer look a little bit uncomfortable, if you like, is the two? I suppose you could class it as a 2-point question. One is why can't we hold on to the lead? What is the problem? I mean, he did mention from that one question, but the other point would be for me is why do we never look like getting goals back once we go behind?
Yeah.
Because we don't, do we? We can never change.
None at all.
Never ever look like we're going to score a goal when we go behind.
Yeah, which is that's a really worrying one for me, because last season we I think might even have been top of the league for points from a losing position.
Yeah.
And that's certainly we're bottom of the league at the minute.
This term, yeah, exactly. We just seem to be chalk and cheese compared to where we were, and that's why when we ask the question, are we better off now or worse off? Well, there's different ways of looking at it, isn't there? Of answering that question.
And finally, my last notes were he was asked about Dubravka coming back with Burnley, and he said, excellent goalkeeper, da-di-da-di-da. He won't get a chance to speak to him because of the way match days work, but he expected him and would expect him to get a warm welcome when he comes back until the kick-off.
Yeah. One that we haven't mentioned was the Tonali injury
scan.
Yeah. And again, I don't know whether you guys...
That was the very first thing I said.
I know, but what I'm saying is, why haven't we heard anything from after the Spurs game about the injury to Tonali? Because I hadn't seen that anywhere.
Well, they said they're waiting for the result of the scan.
Yeah, today I'm on about after the game. We saw the change at half-time. We saw Bruno come on, and we just okay, what's happening? What's going on there? But there was no mention of the reasons why Tonali got substituted. And again, that goes down to poor performance, question mark, Well, are you not looking at J7 if it's that? That's what I'm saying. I think sometimes, unfortunately, Eddie Howe leaves himself wide open for criticism because he doesn't answer the questions properly. He just lets you come to your own conclusion. And that sometimes... I think can be a detriment towards getting the wrong information or the right information out to the general public.
Yeah. So that is it for me, Gary. I don't know if you've got anything.
No, it was like I said. I think we've covered most points.
As far as the actual match is concerned, we have won our last 6 in a row against Burnley in the Prem. And this is a bit of a worry. The last time we won 7 in a row against any other team in the top division, how long ago do you think that is?
Oh, I don't know. Go on.
120. 1906
Wow.
Was the last time we won 7 in a row in the top flight. And that was against Bury.
Wow.
Burnley's neighbours.
Yeah.
So that could be kind of a good sign, but it could also be, my God, we're really making history there. 120 years, dear me.
Didn't realise it was that long. That's amazing.
They've also, Newcastle, have the best record of any current Premiership club in terms of performances against teams that have just been promoted, into which category Burnley fall. We've only lost 1 in 27 games against newly promoted clubs.
Yeah.
So,
what was your thoughts then? Because there was one point, obviously, that he did come and have a. It's all right. I'm just honestly, they're dressing my poor dog up here with so many different things. He's looking at them, going, "What the hell are you doing to me?" Honestly, you lot. Mental. Let's try and focus here, guys, because I'm losing the plot. He was talking about Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes, right? And he was obviously asked the question about, what the left wing battle, if you like. And again, I don't quite understand that, because the left wing, if I'm honest with you, and we saw it against Spurs, they both did a job. I thought Harvey Barnes, his comment was, I don't look at it like that when you talk about a battle on the left-hand side. Harvey Barnes has been in a rich vein of form, and then you see Ant come on the pitch and deliver a performance he did in a short time. We have two outstanding players who bring different qualities and their versatility there, where we can use them both at the same time. Why was nobody questioning how poor we were on the right-hand side? Because that was absolutely dire on that right-hand side. And you've got a player on the bench in Willock who's played that right role a couple of games now, with Marcel being one of them, where he looked absolutely outstanding. When you've got two players that are currently out of form, and you've got to question Murphy's ability from the outset. He's very much an in, out, shake it all about type of player. We've not seen anything from Alanga to blow your frock up at all. But when you look at the situation where we can praise the left-hand side, but no mention of that poor quality on that right-hand side. Why are we missing out as a journo on what's going on that side?
Well, I think we've been saying all season the wingers have been poor. This is an interesting one here. Gavin Rugby is saying their mentality towards keeping possession is not like the top teams. Eddie is an English manager. They are known to not be at the very best level in terms of this. Just the only reason that caught me eye was because that's another stat. Eddie's Premiership record against other English managers. He's only lost one in 22 games against English managers. So when you're looking for an English manager,
yeah. Like I say, it wouldn't surprise me. But you, I mean, listen, we all know Eddie has, people say
Pokey's saying 1906 went to the game straight after school.
Yeah, I've just seen what's her name here? Was a saying, Gary, when we'll have to go shortly, his carers are due for his daily wish. Wesh. That's a Midland saying when you go for a wesh. You go for a wesh.
Proper Geordie saying and all.
I know. That's what I said. It's funny how certain words bounce across so many borders. But yeah, I think there was a lot of, like I say, non-questions when it comes to poor performances. If I'm honest with you in this one, and it's a typical presser, and there's a point for me where I often say, when you're not at the bottom, don't knock them further down. When you're not at the top, don't give them far too much praise. I think sometimes by keeping them on an even keel, you often duck the dodgy stuff, and you just keep giving them the praise to keep them just above the heads above the water. But sometimes you just have to ask the right question, and I don't think we ever really talk a lot about football these days. When it comes to, we talk about the praise of the player, but never the detriment of the player.
Indeed a Rooney.
That, I think, is where we'll call it a day. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us today. I don't know whether the lads are doing a knees up tonight. Are you?
We're doing a knees up tonight, yeah. I'm not sure. I think maybe 8:30.
There you go.
Check hit the bell. And you'll get notified. And if you haven't subscribed already, and how we man, hit the likes, folks.
I just wanted to say thank you to Wazza for your super chats, buddy. Laura.
And Laura Toon Wifey.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you ever so much for those. Very kind of you. And like I say, as Winner's already said, if you can do nothing more then hit that like, share, subscribe, bang the bell, do all those things that cost you absolutely nothing. That will be grand.
And if you want to become a member, become a member. Members draw coming up shortly.
Hey, the gifts that keep on giving.
And if you're in the prediction league and you haven't got your prediction in, get it in.
We can't keep chasing you. Anyway, lads, lassies, bairns and all that. See you on the next one. Take care for now.
With the lads.
Have lassies and bairns. Have a lovely rest of the day. The weekend
Ta-ra
is
now.
an eye. Ta-ra.